Okay, so a few days ago I released a TikTok discussing the possibility of Gillian Anderson playing the Master in the future, where I suggested that she should be called the Master and not Missy. And I got quite a few comments that I want to go over in this video. Now, this short was just a segment from my Series 14 video, and I just thought it was a fun little clip to post onto TikTok and YouTube Shorts, talking about a little bit of fan casting. But in this short, I made a brief comment about how I think Gillian Anderson should be called the Master and not Missy if she does take on the role. But if she is cast as the Master, I would really want her to be called the Master and not Missy. Now, I thought this was a fair comment to make, and honestly, I didn't expect much backlash from it. But I had a few comments saying that if Gillian Anderson does play the Master, she has to be called Missy because she's female, which I personally think is just ridiculous. Just because the only female version of the Master we've had so far is called Missy, I don't see why that means that every female version of the Master we get in the future has to be called Missy. And I've got a few reasons for this. The first is that one of the main reasons she was renamed to Missy in Series 8 was because she was concealing her identity from the Doctor, and it allowed for the twist at the end of the first part of the finale.
Couldn't very well keep calling myself the Master. Now, could I?
So the Master just took the opportunity of the gender change to use it as a disguise, which the Master is known for doing. Another reason that I think the Master is called Missy for this incarnation is that it was to distinguish them from the other Masters, as Missy acts quite a lot different to the other Masters, almost acting as a companion of sorts. But the main point I want to get across here is just because the only female version of the Master we've had so far is called Missy, that doesn't at all mean that every female version of the Master we get has to be called Missy. Kinda a Loser summed it up best in my TikTok comments, saying that Missy is to the Master what the War Doctor is to the Doctor. Sure, they're the same person, but they stand alone as their own character in a sense. And I 100% agree with this, because Missy is that different of a character from all the other incarnations of the Master that it makes sense for them to have a different name, just as the War Doctor is that different from the Doctor that they don't even call themselves the Doctor anymore. And so I think that stating the name Missy should be used for every female version of the Master is just a ridiculous point to make. Now, I also had a few comments saying that we should just leave the Master for a while and not have them return to the show for quite a bit, and I do personally agree with this. The only reason I really brought up the fan casting for Gillian Anderson is because I thought it was a cool fan cast, and it was a little bit of fun speculation to add to the Series 14 video. But like I said, I do agree that the character of the Master could do with a break, as they have been overused recently, especially since Missy's introduction in Series 8, as after her introduction she appeared in all three of Capaldi's series, where she would eventually redeem herself at the end and kill her previous self, just for the Master to be brought back 2 series later for the Chibnall era. So yeah, I do agree that the Master has been overused recently, and Sacha Dhawan's Master did kind of ruin Missy's redemption, which I'm going to get into later in this video. Now, I also had a lot of people suggesting in the comments that Gillian Anderson should play the Rani instead of the Master. And for those who don't know who the Rani is, she's basically a female version of the Master that was introduced in the 80s. She isn't an incarnation of the Master, she's just a very similar character. And although I do think Gillian Anderson would be great as the Rani, I just have a bit of a problem with the Rani as a concept as a whole. Because the fact that she was introduced as a new character that's basically just the Master but female, it's led to a lot of people suggesting that instead of a female incarnation of the Master, we should just have the Rani instead, because they're basically the same character. And I wouldn't be surprised if a few people have said that Missy should have been the Rani instead. For me personally, I don't really see the point in introducing the Rani into New Who, when we now know it's possible for Time Lords to just change gender, and the Master and the Doctor have both already done that. Because like I said, they're basically just the same character anyway, and you've then got to introduce new viewers to a classic character that we haven't seen since the 80s, just for them to basically play the same role that the Master plays in the show anyway. Now, with that being said, I do think there was a perfect opportunity that was missed to introduce the Rani in the Chibnall era, as well as a possible opportunity to introduce the Rani down the line. With Missy redeeming herself at the end of the Moffat era and killing her previous self, I feel like that would have been the perfect opportunity for Chibnall to reintroduce the Rani, instead of just bringing back the Master and ruining the character's redemption from Series 10. Now, with that being said, I do quite like Sacha Dhawan's performance, so I'm not at all saying that I wish this was how it went in the show. I just thought it seemed like a missed opportunity that could have gone really well at the time. But I'm still happy with what we got with Sacha Dhawan's Master. But with all that being said, if Sacha Dhawan's Master redeems himself at the end of the Centenary special, then that would be the perfect opportunity for RTD to bring back the Rani in the same way that I just suggested, and maybe played by Gillian Anderson. Now, this discussion was spawned from a segment from my Series 14 speculation video, which, if you haven't watched yet, I go into everything we know about Series 14 so far, as well as some speculation for Series 14, and you can watch that video here.